Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Finding Your Voice, podcast season number 2. And I'm excited about the guest I'm going to introduce you to today. I'm grateful that this is a platform for the everyday person, the author, brand new authors, the dreamers, the entrepreneurs, the business owners, anyone that have found their place of true inspiration and motivation. Your story can help somebody else. And that's what this platform is for. So I thank you all for joining. This is your moment to embrace what God has called you to do. So please welcome my guest, Myra Cook. Myra, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do outside of being an author, and what you have accomplished as an author?
Okay, I'm Myra Cook. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've retired from an insurance company after 36 years. I work now part-time at TJ Maxx in the fitting room. And I just keep going. And I just, this is being the first-time author. It just amazes me.
Congratulations, because I
Thank
want
you.
you all to know that this was one of my greatest supporters, Miss Myra Cook. She has been one of my greatest supporters from the very beginning of my journey as an author. And when we had a conversation once about her dream of becoming an author, and sometimes she'll send me a little piece, ask me to read. She asked me about that and was a little nervous too. I remember that too, Myra, but I remember encouraging her to connect with a friend of mine with Listen Linda. I said, because sometimes when you're brand new to this process, writing in an anthology will help you get comfortable, but at least getting it out there gives you that title no one can ever take away, first-time author. And so you became a first-time author and when you wrote your first book. So tell us about that book.
Well, it's Women of the Waiting Room, Surgery for Your Soul. I told my story about how I found out I had narcolepsy and how I coped with it.
Wow. Did you feel comfortable writing about it?
Yes, because ever since I got diagnosed in 1975, I done told everybody, I talk to everybody everywhere I go. I tell, about my narcolepsy because I know somewhere, sometime I'm going to fall asleep. And so sometimes I prepare people, but I still hear what you're saying. I just, just go to sleep and just, all you have to do, just clear your voice or, make a motion and I'll wake up. But other than that, I just been, I said, Lord, I've been telling this story for so long. No, I don't even think nobody want to hear it anymore.
Well, you know what? It's important that you tell it because I didn't know anything about narcolepsy until you wrote about it. So I'm even struggling to pronounce it. But the fact that you wrote about it was important because people need to know that it's out there. People like you who have to experience it is out there. So that was really profound. Now, did you talk about in your story, do you tell them how you cope? You mentioned that you encourage people that if you doze off for them to say something or make some movement and you'll wake up. Any other coping mechanisms that you have?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's just when I doze off. Now I ride the bus a lot, and it got to the point. Pride will kill you. Yeah. It got to the point where I wouldn't get up when I get on the bus. I wouldn't tell nobody. I just get on the bus and hope for the best. And it's like time I pass my stop, I know exactly that I passed my stop.
Wow.
And it got to the point where I had to walk back home, or even catch a cab to get back home. So I started telling the bus driver that I have a sleep disorder, and if you would wake me up if I'm asleep at a certain stop, because it just got to the point where I couldn't couldn't afford it. And then walking back late at night too.
Yeah,
Because
that's
when, but, I really don't have no coping mechanism. It's just when it comes now. If I try to fight it, I do some crazy stuff.
uh-huh.
I mean, some crazy stuff that I have no idea. But then that's when I know I need to take a nap.
Right,
But,
right.
'cause- but I guess I've been used to doing this for so long. It just come to me, and like if I sleep on the bus, and then every now and then I wake up to see where I am and
Right.
go right back to sleep.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's coping. That's dealing with it the way it is. It is what it is, and you have to figure out a way to handle it.
Yeah,
Now, in the second story, the first book released in 2024, the second book released this year, right?
right.
Women of the Waiting Room Anthology Volume 2. So you did step out there in book number one. So congratulations, you became a first-time author and you got comfortable and went back and participated again. So tell us about the second story.
Well, the second story is overcoming obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
While working, I had to tell everybody, I have narcolepsy, but, just, well, I had to tell my managers. I gave them information because
Mm-hmm.
I got all my information and pamphlets from the Narcolepsy Network.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me information and how to cope with it. And I
Right.
would tell everybody. And I say, now, if I'm asleep, I can still hear what's going on. I hate it when somebody say, Myra, wake up,
Oh,
so they can get
yeah.
a laugh from everybody. But
Right.
it's just the obstacles because I was working two jobs and I
Mm-hmm.
had two kids, and I was determined, and I like to read. I was determined I wasn't going to let my narcolepsy define who I was.
Good for
You
you.
know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just I forced myself to do stuff. Now, I'd be tired. I mean, really tired, but it was something I had to do for myself.
Yes. That makes sense. You took the power. You took the reins. You wanted to control this was gonna how this is gonna be managed in your life. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you know what? You know how you say, Lord, why me? Why me?
Yeah.
How come you didn't get to my brothers? How come why me?
Right.
But, after a while, I got to thinking, why not you? It made me stronger
Mm-hmm.
because I used to be really, really shy.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me stronger. And I started, telling people about narcolepsy
Mm-hmm.
and what it was like. One girl told me, she said, "Oh, I really didn't believe you had it. I just thought you were saying something to get noticed. I wouldn't wish this on nobody."
Wow. That's what she thought.
Uh-huh. Yeah. She thought that's what she thought. And she said, "I really didn't think it was, you had anything. You were just trying to get noticed." And I thought, no, uh-uh. I was like, Lord have mercy. And I mean, I like talking about my narcolepsy to people.
Mm-hmm.
And because, somebody got an aunt, a sister, a brother, they know somebody who has narcolepsy.
And most likely denied that they have it or is still trying to hide
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yes, because when my daughter was in high school and they were studying hereditary diseases. And so
Right.
she told her about me, about my
Uh-huh.
narcolepsy. So I went to the class and I spoke. And this little boy said, "Well, I think I got it."
Oh,
And they just laughed. They laughed. I told him, I said, "Well, what you need to do, tell your mama and your dad to take you to a neurologist and let them diagnose you to see if that's what you really have." Sure
right.
enough, he did. He did.
What? What?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this baby is diagnosing himself based on
Well,
what he heard you say,
yeah,
not
he
the
heard what,
parent.
not the parent. But see, hey, my parents, they thought I was just lazy.
Wow. And that's what most people might assume.
Yes, because I slept all the time. But
Wow.
my daddy had it. When I
Wow.
found out when I found out I had narcolepsy, I told him, I said, well, now I found out what was wrong with me. And I told him I have narcolepsy. He said, oh, I got that. My daddy had that. And you just not telling me this? Well, we
Wow.
just thought you was lazy. I
Wow.
could not I could not
I know.
understand.
Well, we do have some challenges among the African American community in terms of properly getting their children diagnosed. We do have those issues. And so, yeah, I
Yes.
think, I have some challenges I had to overcome. Nobody had me diagnosed or anything, but I noticed them and later on understood what it was. So,
Yeah, but, see, I just thought, well, I've been sleeping, napping like that for so long. It just was
you thought
second
that was
nature to
normal.
me. I didn't think nothing about it until I almost got fired at work. And they said, you need to find out what's wrong with you. And
Right.
I thought, because I had just got married and they
Mhm.
thought I was staying up all night. I said, no, I don't stay up past 11. 11 o'clock, I'm out like a light. I don't do it. But, and when I found out and he said he had it, that his daddy had, I said, and you ain't said nothing about it?
Wow, that's
That
something.
blew, that blew my mind. I started watching my children.
Yeah.
I mean, because I wasn't going to let them go through what I did.
Well, it's good too that that opportunity you had to talk to the classroom of students and that young boy that just happened to be in the class who diagnosed himself based on what you said. So writing these books and telling the story is important to get the message out there so other people will know this is not something that you made up. And somebody else
No.
might need that as a backup to what they're experiencing too.
Yeah, because, I was at the CBLR, the Christian Book Lovers Retreat,
Hmm.
and Vanessa Riley was doing a segment on, people books and stuff. So, and I had just brought my book for just in case. And I was on the panel,
Hmm.
and it was a young lady there. Her husband had been just got diagnosed with narcolepsy,
Wow.
and
Wow.
he was having difficulty in coming to grips with it, because it does take a toll on you come trying to to understand the different changes you go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, Lord have mercy. I said, I just couldn't believe it. And I gave her a book, and I keep in touch with her. And because it's something else trying to get a job and you tell the people you have narcolepsy
Hmm.
and you explain what it is, you're on medication, but still they think you just gonna be asleep. Because I've lost many a job interviews on account, but I had to tell the truth. I mean, if you're gonna hire me, you had to know
Yeah.
everything about me.
Yeah, because it's
But
part of accommodations.
yes. And
Hmm.
so then you get fired anyway for not telling the person. And
Oh,
so, and I just wasn't like that. The people that I work for, they said, well, you don't have to tell nobody, about your condition like that. But I do. Because if I'm going to be working, you come out there and see me sleep, you're going to want to know why.
well, somebody with autism, they have bands for their arms now. They can say, okay, be patient. You might have to repeat it because, I have this and you to slow down what you're explaining to me. So it's important that any kind of accommodation that people are clear on what it is so they know how to
Yeah.
interact with you. That's
Yes.
really brave of you, Myra. First of all, get to the place where you can talk about it freely. What that does is it gets the word out. It helps other people, like you did with the young boy. I hope you get out even more. Other
Well,
schools should invite
I
you in.
try. Well, I'm not in touch with no more schools. But I just tried to tell people. And my best friend, I go everywhere with her. We travel together,
Uh-huh.
and we was in Maine, and
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to tell her that a part of my narcolepsy was a symptom cataplexy, and if I, just happen to when I get emotional, I lose control of my muscles. And I showed her the pill that I need to take. She said, "We've been everywhere, and you ain't never told me this." I said, "I just thought about it." And so,
Oh,
and so I just did. I said, "You don't have to call no ambulance, nothing like that. Just let me calm down. Give me that pill. Just let me calm down, and I'll be okay." And so she said, "Well, I'm glad you told me." And I said, "Well, I am too." I said, "I didn't think about it. We've been friends for over 50 years, but it
wow.
never dawned on me." And then when I saw that pill in my little pill case, I thought I need to tell her for just in case, because you just never know when I get emotional or in my cataplexy kick in. But I've been taking my medicine every day, so it hadn't. But still, you just never know. So
That's true.
it's just so much to narcolepsy that
Mm,
I didn't know, that I've learned through the years, how
right.
what triggers it, what don't, and then the everything. It's amazing.
Wow. What a beautiful testimony in both cases. And then accepting the fact that this is who you are. You don't have to apologize for it. It is God's decision as to who he does what with. I mean, we've
Yeah.
all had to say those words to him at one point in time. I remember saying, God, I was really going through something. I said, oh, God, you really think highly of me to think that I'm going to get through this and I'll be okay? Ooh, wee, you think highly of me.
I know and it just amazes you
Yeah,
what he does, but it's just his. I learned the hard way about his plans
yeah,
for you,
yes.
because I always wanted to be a secretary. That
Mm-hmm.
was my main goal,
Uh-huh.
being a secretary. I could take shorthand, I could type fast, I could do it all, but nobody would hire me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in this choir, and we was having a choir rehearsal, and my preacher friend, he said, "Have you ever thought that that wasn't God's plan for you?"
Wow.
I said, "What?" He said, "Have you ever thought that that wasn't God's plan for you?" And I
Wow.
went, "No, I never thought about it like that. It was what I wanted. This is what I wanted to do. This is what I." And so from then on, I just waited. They would tell me, "Myra, they got a administrative assistant job open." This, I said, "No, I'm okay with what I got right now." I
Mm,
say I'm fine, cause and then it just with my narcolepsy and everything, I just come to grips. This is me, and just handle it the way you
yeah.
know how. And
Yes.
so it just wasn't meant for me. God had other plans, and I thought, well, Lord, what plans you got? But then you sent me that uh text and told me you might can do this, and I thought, no, I don't want to be hitting the. Nobody want to hear this story. I done told this story so many times. I'm tired of it. But
Oh, there's still lots, thousands, maybe millions of people who still haven't heard about it.
yes,
And hopefully they'll learn as much as they can, not only from your story, but even from your telling it on this podcast. But I
yeah,
was thinking about when you said you wanted to become a secretary. That was my goal too. I took 2 years of stenography in high school. I took all the business courses. Back then in our day, they had tracks based on
yeah,
what you wanted to aspire to become. And my goal was to get a job right after high school because I didn't want to be on my mom's payroll anymore. My mom raised 7 kids, and I thought the best I could offer her is to get not make her responsible for me and let me take care of myself because there was two
yeah,
siblings left after my graduation. So I said, let me go to college at night. I'll get a job. That way she doesn't have to worry about me. So I took all those courses in high school. I was fast too. I'm still fast typing. I'm over
yeah,
120 words per minute, and I still do my shorthand by hand. I thought
Oh yes.
doing that, that would be great for me to become a court reporter. That was what I thought, become a court reporter. But then I applied for state government and got a job as a secretary. So
I know, because see, I was I'm secretary of the church, I was secretary of the class, and I was secretary of the conference. And I was the AME, and I was secretary of that. And I said, well, how come I couldn't be secretary of everything else when I can't get that? I wanted to be a secretary to the CEO of the company. I know I can do it, but it wasn't in the cards for me. And Lord knew that wasn't for me.
Well, I remember traveling with my boss. I took notes at the meetings. I traveled, and that was the one thing I really enjoyed, was traveling with her. But I didn't know what God was doing. He was helping me to see what she did, because I later moved up in my career and became a deputy administrator. That's what she was when I worked for her. So it gave me a chance to see what that was like. Gave me a chance to learn the ropes, and I slowly went into supervision, then into management, and then later as a deputy administrator. I never knew, but those doors were doors that God had opened, and so I'm very grateful.
I said, it's just, I tell my children all the time, God gonna work something, but when He does it, it's like that aha moment. Wow. You wasn't expecting it to really, to come true for what you wanted. Because I used to write all the time.
See,
and the girls I used to let them read my stories, and they liked them and everything. But I just really didn't pursue it actually, because I know I had a family to raise.
Right.
And it was just me and my two. And so that I just wrote on the sides. Then I quit writing. And then when I started going to the CBLR, I said, well, all these Black authors? I said, I had no idea. I said, I can be one too. So, I
just that way too, coming from California, because I didn't meet many on the West Coast. I'm going, everybody's on the East Coast. Where is everybody in California? So yeah, I was amazed too. After having a conversation with Vanessa, I found it on Facebook, and she called me and we talked a little bit. So I was like that, a deer in the headlights. The first time I'm going, man, did not know. But
I know. Because I would read, Danielle Steele, Jude Devereaux, Francis Ray, and like that. But you never hardly saw any Black books. And I was like, man, look at all these Black authors here.
Yeah,
it was really amazing.
Surprised. Yeah, I was really surprised. But primarily East Coast. All the authors are either Midwest or East Coast. But I'm grateful I got a chance to connect with the people I did there. And of course, with you as an author, you supported me in my projects too. So I'm really excited for you. That's why I reached out to you. I really wanted to have you on this platform so other people would get to know your journey. There may be somebody standing on the sideline who's thinking the same way you thought. I don't know. I really want to write, but I don't know. And yet you took the leap, and you didn't have to worry about all the techniques. You didn't have to worry about any part of the process because it was done for you that way. All you had to focus on was writing. And that's the best way to get out there and really get going. I can't wait to see what the third book is going to be. It's time for you to talk about other things now. Oh
yeah. Dr. Laquita Parks, she got a book. She dozing through life. And it's about people with narcolepsy.
It is.
Yes. So I'm excited about that. I got it.
Wait a minute. How many people writing for it?
I have no idea.
Wow.
I have no idea.
That's pretty cool.
And so, and I told her, I said, well, I told my story, in the other two books. And she said, well, we want to have you on that. So I said, well, okay,
Good for you.
It's just another, to tell what else I've done
Right,
through,
right.
with my dealing with narcolepsy. I had 4 hip replacements, and just sleep apnea. I didn't even know that sleep apnea was associated with narcolepsy.
Wow. I didn't know until you told me that once
I
before.
had no idea.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Well, Ms. Myra, we appreciate you being on the show today. Why don't you tell everybody how can they get a copy of your book? How can they stay connected with you, especially since you have another book coming out? More people may want to share your story. Tell us how the audience how they can stay connected with you.
Well, I'm on Facebook, Myra Cook. I'm on Instagram. What else is there out there? And now I have books. The books that I'm in, they are on Amazon. But if you want a signed copy, you can, email me, Myra Cook 1951 at gmail.com, and I can send you a book. And I'm on Cash App, Myra $, Myra Cook 51.
Okay.
And I can just sit because I have several books left. But
Okay. Well, for those that will be looking and viewing this interview on Instagram and Facebook, we'll have those links, that information in the comments section. For those who will be listening to the audio, which plays on Amazon Music, those of you who will be listening to just the audio, you won't have access to that, but you can always, she just told you how to get it. You can always reach out to Myra Cooks 1951 at gmail.com. So I want to thank you, Myra, today for joining me. It was really fun. It was wonderful just having a moment just to talk to you, even us talking just before we started recording. So I want to thank all of you who are listening and tuning in. Continue to stay connected. If you want to catch the episodes, make sure you go on to Dr. Velma Bagby on YouTube, and you can set it up to subscribe, and then set it up so that you can be sent a notification anytime the podcast goes live. Because I have Finding Your Voice podcast as well as Dr. Velma Talks, which will be launching season 2 on July 12th. So everybody, thank you so much for listening in. I know you got a lot of juicy nuggets from Myra today. If not, this was a learning session so that you can be aware if you run into someone else who seemed to have some of the symptoms that she had. Be patient, show some grace, and understand that people are fighting through this and handling it, just like she said, managing it every day. So I thank you, Myra, for being with me, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you.